Hi, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your Venus retrograde reading for you. Now, before we begin this reading, I have an announcement. I am open to private readings, so if you are interested in a private reading, in a meditation, in animal healing, check out my website, daneharttarot.com, and you can book a private reading, a meditation, and animal healing. So I look forward to hearing from you. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will all be listed in the description box below, and that's also where you can find my website name. So if you're interested. Now, before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. This cleanse and meditation will be accompanied by a loud sound. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see the energy we need to be mindful of during this time, Sagittarius. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. This is the King of Cups. During this Venus retrograde, our emotions and other people's emotions can really be getting the better of us, almost like they're taking over. Our emotions can be taking over. Other people's emotions can feel like, oh, they're trumping our own, what we feel, what we desire. So just be aware of this during this time. And everybody can be really loud with what they're feeling, like how they're feeling it. It can come across super intense. So just be aware of this. You can also, it doesn't mean that they have to be saying it really loudly. You can be feeling other people's emotions, especially if you're empathic, really intensely during this time. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Angels and Spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. And here we have success reversed. We're not seeing ourselves as successful, which isn't fair to us. We are successful. We're ruled by Jupiter. That, in and of itself, means that we have a very powerful leaning towards success. So here, embracing our success, looking at ourselves as successful, stop being so hard on yourself and with yourself. That's going to be very important. And there's also a fear coming forward during this time as we're kind of forced to embrace our hearts and look at things in a new way. There's a fear of success. Like, what does that mean? How will that change my world? So just be aware of that. Even if, we dream about being successful, we dream about what that could bring to our lives, there's a hesitance around that too. So just be aware of this. Let's see what the tarot has to say. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Okay. So what's really interesting is during this time, there's a bit of pettiness going around. So with the Five of Wands, like gossip, people just wanting to pull you in to their own world. So just be aware of that. Okay, before we dive into the tarot, let's talk about this time astrologically speaking. Now, Venus retrograde begins on July 22nd and moves and continues until September 3rd. This is a time to reconnect with what's in our hearts. And this is a 40-day period to reflect on our relationships, to honor ourselves, to ask ourselves, am I honoring myself in my relationships? Excuse me. This does not just mean our romantic relationships, but this also means our personal relationships, our work relationships, every relationship that we have, and even every relationship that we've had. Am I honoring myself? Here, with the Six of Cups, a lot of the past is coming up during this time. So we can find ourselves questioning our past, questioning the way that we're moving forward. We're carrying a lot with us. So just be aware of this. This is an intense time. It's not a bad time. Retrogrades aren't bad times, they're just simply more intense than other times. Venus retrograde can bring back old flames, old romantic flames, but also people who really inspired us, who really, sparked our passion, our interest in our lives. So be aware of this. This can lead us towards healing past wounds, but this can also lead us to moving forward in ways that we hadn't expected, but also having people back in our lives that we might have thought, oh, well, that's just done, that's just over. So be aware of this during this time. If you have an urge to write to somebody or to, email, Facebook, contact them in any way, do so, do so. Any sort of social media, do so during this time because there's a sense of like, huh, like, oh, that's nice. Even if they don't answer you back, you could be like, oh, okay, well, that door is closed. But there's just a curiosity here that's moving us forward. So be aware of this. This is time to rediscover our individuality and our self worth, to reconnect with what's in our hearts and get in touch with our passion for life again and our passions in life again. So that's going to be very much a big deal. Now, this Venus retrograde is in Leo, and it's in Leo for the first time in 8 years. So we're having this energy come back that we haven't seen in almost a decade. So think back 8 years ago. Where were you in your life? What was going on? What were your relationships like? That can kind of give us an inclination of how these relationships are going to be tested during this time and moved forward during this time. Now, also, this this Venus retrograde in Leo can also really affect our spending habits. So be aware of this. We can really want to be seen and be validated. So we can go for larger ticket items. We can go for more high end items, which, brand names are going to be very important to us. It's not a bad thing at all, but just make sure you can afford it. Just make sure that you're putting into savings and just make sure that you're not doing things in a sense of like, oh, look what I have that you don't, because that can be a really big energy during this time, even with relationships, even with going out with people. It's like, oh, look who I can go out with and you can't. That's going to be a theme we see with people during this time. And we need to be mindful of that within ourselves. We can also find that this alters our relationship with beauty, with fashion, with art, because again, we want to be seen, we want to be validated. So we can tend to go more mainstream. And if that usually isn't us, we can feel a little bit like we're putting on a show. Now, with Venus retrograde, understand that scandals and hidden love affairs can come to the surface during this time. So just be mindful about this. It's not saying that you're in one, but there is a sense here of you getting dragged into a lot of people's dramas. And it's like, I don't need this. I really don't need this, especially since people's emotions are echoing through so loudly during this time. Don't get pulled into people's dramas, but my gosh, do they want you to be? And it's going to be kind of easy. You can be seen as a person who's a good listener or like good at helping to solve problems, and you can really be going into things kind of naively thinking, oh, I'm going to help this person out, and then you're just pulled down. You're just pulled down into their chaos. But just know that also chaos can be coming up in our own lives. We can have a lot of pettiness coming forward, a lot of agitation over things that really won't matter 5 weeks, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years from now. So just be mindful of who you're giving your energy to, how you're spending your energy, because these are these are little things that can really be blown out of proportion. With the Six of Cups, we are going to be so nostalgic during this time. So I'm really seeing a lot of people like picking up a pen and paper and writing to people. So I love letter writing. So if you're into letter writing, again, this is a great time for it. With the Six of Cups, there's something about the past almost seeming more real than the present. Be mindful about this. You're going to try to recreate the past, and the past is the past. It is done. It is a place we can never visit again. And that can be really sad at times. It can be. Holding to our memories, it doesn't mean that we don't have our memories, we don't have, the connection with our loved ones that have passed on. That's not what Spirit is saying. Spirit is saying that if we're trying to rekindle a romantic relationship, right? And we're remembering the past and how brilliant it was. This isn't the past. We're coming to things with completely different baggage than we came to them before. And they're coming with completely different baggage. So if you have an ex, contact you out of the blue, a meetup, something like this, you're you're very different people, and be aware of this, because I just see us kind of looking at things through rose-colored glasses, and it's almost like, ooh, this is exciting, and I remember exactly how it was when we were younger, and that's great, but you're not the same people. So just be aware of this. Be aware of this. And even in our relationships, if we're in a relationship, it's like, be aware that if you're trying to rekindle what happened in the past, because I just see us as so nostalgic, so moving towards and wanting to move back into the time that was just happier and brighter, we can recreate that. But again, we're different people. We're coming to things through and we're looking at things with different eyes. So just be aware of this. Especially somebody here is like, you want to book a vacation, you want to go on a trip, and it's like, oh, I want to recreate this perfectly to the T as it once was. It's not going to go to the T as it once was. Let it be its own thing. It's not that it won't be brilliant and beautiful and wonderful, but let it be its own thing. That's going to be so important. With the Ace of Cups, God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, is handing you a gift of healing, beautiful love. Are you taking it? Yes. Is it kind of knocking you off your game? Absolutely. Absolutely. So be aware of this. Be aware that old emotions, it's kind of like stirring up a pot. Everything's starting to come to the surface. It can settle down again, but everything's coming to the surface. And it can emotionally be a little intense, a little overwhelming. And we could be feeling things so intensely, so powerfully. So being aware of this is going to be super important. We can feel very teary during this time, weepy, just a little bit more sensitive. So being aware of that is going to be also very important. But we're going to find with this Venus retrograde, we're releasing a lot of baggage that we've carried, a lot of things from the past that we kind of thought we could fix or we're feeling guilty about. It's like those were lessons learned and they were written into our charts, they were written into our stories. I'm not talking about the horrific. I've I've worked with people who've been through things that are like, they're just horrific. There's no other way to say it. And it's not like, oh, well, that was here to teach you the spiritual meaning and to help you move forward and we should be thankful for it. No, some things you don't need to be thankful for at all. And you could say, I could have been a fantastic person without that in my life. So just know that. Know that here as well. But know that you're releasing a lot that has shaped you, that has formed you, that has created you into the person that you are now. And to move forward now in love for yourself, to be freed of anger and resentment and hurt and pain and negativity, because you're opening up your heart to the love that the universe has for you, to the God's head that lives inside of you, to your power, to your grace, to your brilliance. That's an extraordinary thing. And that's not something to be poo-pooed to or at. And with the Two of Pentacles, this is going to be a time where it can be really hard to balance everything. You want everything to be just so terribly perfect. And that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. But it's not going to be perfect. Remember that. No matter how much we want it to be, no matter how hard we try, it's still going to be human experience. So here we're juggling a lot. It's not just two things. We are juggling a lot. And it makes us feel very off balance. It can make us feel very overwhelmed. The emotions of others have a tendency to hit us quite hard. So being mindful, guarding ourselves, wrapping us in the wings of our angels, our spirit guides, protecting us. That's going to be a really, really important thing. The healing light of the universe coming around us, guiding us, moving us, helping us, protecting us. Because we are feeling a lot and we can feel very overwhelmed by it. So being aware of this is going to be a very important thing. Also understanding that there's a bit of trickery here. We have the foxtail behind us. There's a bit of trickery that comes in, especially two people, two situations that knock us off our game. So being aware of this is going to be a very important thing. Not taking everything so seriously and letting some things fall to the wayside, like letting some things go and saying, I don't need to juggle everything. I need to be kinder to myself, We need to be saying, okay, what's really important? What do I need to pay attention to? And then paying attention to that and letting the rest, letting everybody else's dramas, you know, they have to deal with them as well. It's not for you to carry, Sagittarius. It then moves us to the Seven of Swords, which is very interesting. There's a lie that we've been carrying during this, it's before this time. It's something about being worthy of love. It's something about, it's it's pretty much telling us that we're not worthy. Somebody said something and it was mean. It was a comment meant to hurt. So it could be an offhanded comment, but they were frustrated and they went they went for the jugular. So just be aware of this. Be aware that we've been carrying a lot of energy that was spiteful, hurtful, negative words that we don't need to have in our life anymore. And it's time to let them go. There's something here about misconceptions. Somebody's saying, like, oh, well, you just are taking this wrong. We're not taking it wrong. We're not. We need to move forward from it, but we don't need that energy in our lives anymore. We don't need to be carrying this with us. We're also moving away from a place that we no longer want to be. We're taking what we need and we're leaving the rest. And that's going to be very important to us. Our inner child is carrying a lot of pain with us, acknowledging that inner child, and especially that inner child's way of connecting and communicating with love. You might have seen your parents or guardians, whomever raised you, might not have had really good love relationships, okay? Or a really good relationship with their partner. And that has affected you for a really long time. And now it's time to tell that child, I don't need to guard myself as fervently as I have been. You know, I'm not my parents. I'm not that vulnerable situation that I once was. And now it's time for me to move forward in love and in the knowledge that I am deserving of love. And this can be, if we're in a relationship, this can strengthen our relationship. If we're not in a relationship, this really opens up the doors to somebody coming into our lives. Our subconscious energy to be mindful of is the world. We are looking at things right now and we're looking at everyone. Okay? It's kind of like, oh, I need the world to be to see me, to validate me. That's the energy that comes forward with a Venus retrograde in Leo. And you don't need the whole world to see you and validate you. You won't get that from the world anyway. You can't please everyone. You have to please yourself. That's a song. And I like that. There is a need here to look at things. And remember, you don't have to be everybody's cup of tea, but you are somebody's cup of tea. And it's just one person. And that makes all the difference in the world. So know here that we're looking at things and we're affected by other people's emotions. We're putting ourselves in the middle of things because we want to be seen, we want to be validated, we want the whole world, right? And Spirit's saying, calm it down. It's okay. It's okay to live in our little corner of the world, to connect with our heart and what we desire. And it moves us to our subconscious spirit message. And this is love. If you chant love, let love be your mantra. Chant love, 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 love. Speak love over your water before you drink it. Speak love over your food. It's blessing it, but it's letting you be nourished by love. Love is one of the most powerful words in the world. And embracing love and letting love pump through your heart. Embrace the ocean that is your veins. Letting that be part of your existence is going to be one of the most powerful and beautiful things you can possibly do for yourself. Chant love, 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 love. Our subconscious tarot message is the Emperor. This is Aries energy. This is determination, passion, focus. But this is also structure and power. And looking at the bigger picture of things, subconsciously, we are becoming a lot more in control of things than we realize. We can still be overwhelmed, trying to replicate the past, pulled into other people's traumas. But subconsciously, my gosh, are we strong? There's also a very strong patriarchal presence, okay? A father energy. And I see this more as a father energy from the other side. Now it can be a father, a grandfather, a great grandfather. This is a person looking at you and saying, my gosh, am I proud? Take it, Sagittarius. Know that you're being smiled upon. This can be an Aries, This could be somebody with strong Aries in their chart, but this was a person who was a problem solver. Like that's how they describe themselves. They're like, I solve problems. I could look at things. I could lift up, you know, the the map in my mind and I could see the problem. I could see how to solve it. And that's what they did with their lives. They solved the problems and know that they're working on the other side to really help you solve the problems and move forward in love and in passion and to really root yourself in what you want in your life and what you deserve, your success. They see you as being a very strong, competent person. And that's a beautiful thing. All right. Actually, they're looking at you, pointing at you and saying that one's the most like me. So that's beautiful. All right. All right. Sagittarius, I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I am sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power, intensity, and beauty of this time and of ourselves. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Sagittarius. May blessings and prosperity always be with you. I love you all. God bless. Bye.